Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel tonight. It's I guess maybe it's a special night because it's the 30th anniversary of the publication of the Eye of the World, and well, it's just me tonight. I thought I'd take a moment, partially because man, work is tough this week. So I thought, you know what, I'll just chill out and chat with you guys all about the Wheel of Time and why not? Instead of going the full Monty with all the panelists, you guys get to be my panelist. So, yeah, the goal tonight is just to kind of relax and maybe talk a little bit about the Dusty Wheel, see what you guys have to say. I'm kind of anxious to get to know some of you, see what you think about the Eye of the World, see when you started reading the books, and kind of hear some of your stories. So, why don't we jump into it? I guess my tech crew back here told me that maybe some of you. I know some of you are familiar with who I am, and some of you aren't. But as Scott asked in chat, who's the Innkeeper? One of the reasons why I call myself the Innkeeper of the Dusty Wheel is Theoryland was created or Theoryland is a website that I created I think 23 years ago, dealing with the Wheel of Time. And Brandon put us in one of the books in Towers of Midnight, and he actually converted Theoryland into the Dusty Wheel, he called it. And as soon as I saw that, I was like, shoot, I'm going to create a website called the Dusty Wheel. And of course I never did that, but I kept the name going. And so I thought, why not, when I set up this live show, call it the Dusty Wheel? It's kind of the Wheel of Time, or Theoryland, I guess, in a new age, I guess. So anyway, yeah, so that's how I came here and why we call it the Dusty Wheel. So, this is all, like Glenn's asking. Glenn, this is all call-in tonight. If you guys want to give me a call-in, it's 313-825-5968. You can always just, feel free to chat with me, ask me any questions, but I want to ask you guys some questions. As far as the 30th anniversary of the publication of the Eye of the World, when did you guys start reading the books? I ended up, I want to say it was 90, maybe 91. I want to say it's been maybe 29 years. Did anyone start right when it published? I'm kind of curious. Right after Lord of Chaos, man. I don't know. I think the first book I waited for was Dragon Reborn. I want to say, or The Great Hunt came out right away. It's that wait over and over again. It's just Austin. That's ridiculous, man. 2009. 2009. That's crazy. I don't know. I think I have. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but having waited so long between each one of these books, I think I've gotten crazier and crazier as the years have gone by, and that's how Theoryland started. Put the number on the screen. Sorry, Glenn. It's 313-825-5968. We'll throw the banner back up for you so you can see it. Theoryland is the genesis of what we're doing here tonight, which is why some of our panelists you guys have met, Mary, Tal, Todd. You met Ted, Tyler. Wait. Tal, Todd, Ted, and Tyler. Look at you guys. All individuals that jumped on Theoryland in the late 90s when that began. I don't know if you know, Jason Denzel actually created Dragonmount. And I think Theoryland started just maybe 6 months before Dragonmount did. Same year. We always talk all about it. It's pretty fun. Yeah, Theoryland. Oh, man. Back in the day, right? Dana, you missed out a little bit, I guess, from all the insanity that it was back in the day, when the absurdity of the theories we came up with. It's fun to think back on, for sure. Beth, you didn't hit it until the last two books. Hey, why don't we bring Lancer? Lancer's calling. Let me bring him in real quick. Hey, Lancer, how you doing tonight?
Hey, how are you doing, Innkeeper? Having a good night yourself?
Yeah, man. This is just a casual chat. It's going to be easy on me. I can't wait to start kind of asking some more questions here of those in chat. What's going on?
Oh, not much. I mean, that's been the universal question around here is how we got started into Wheel of Time. I remember my buddy, my good friend, got me the book, the hardcover, back in 2000, actually. So I'm one of those late guys. And I didn't read. I didn't read it for a year. And then when I finally opened it up and I started reading it, the prologue was awesome. But then, to be completely honest, I couldn't get through the first 3 chapters. Those first 3 chapters were rough for me. That felt like the slog in books 8 through 10. So I'm sitting there reading it, trying to figure it out, going, "Oi!" But then I put it down and I didn't touch it again for like maybe 6 months. So then I finally said, all right, my buddy's bugging me about this book, saying, did you read it? Did you read it? And I'm like, fine. So I finally picked it back up again. I started reading it again from the beginning. And once I got to chapter, I think it was like 4 or 6 or something like that, that's, of course, when it took off. And the roller coaster ride started, and I was hooked. Geez, when you do the reread, I can't believe how much foreshadowing was in book 1.
Yeah, I mean,
my goodness,
that's what kept us alive. I'll be honest. Theoryland, WoT Dragonmount. I think just the degree at which Jordan foreshadows just makes those kind of discussions fun for years. I mean, I will still argue. Anyone in the chat wants to argue, I'll still argue Asmodean theories for hours upon hours, and it just never gets old for me. But it has a little bit to do with just how kind of Jordan did kind of put so much detail and so many red herrings and at times just offhanded comments. And I think a lot of authors have tried to kind of mimic that. So yeah, it's for sure. Yeah, the foreshadowing just keeps you coming back for more.
I just hope that the series does it justice. Since we already know what's going to happen, it's going to be interesting to see people who have never read the books watch it unfold. And just as the same as watching all the reactions of people to the Red Wedding, it will be interesting to see the reactions of, oh, wait a minute, you mean that was, oh, I can't wait to see if the show will do that justice. So that's what I'm hoping for.
I agree, man. Lancer, by the way, I've really appreciated ever since the beginning of the show that since we started doing this, you've always called in week after week, and just so you know, I really appreciate that. And yeah, no, I share in the enthusiasm. I can't wait until the show comes out, and I really appreciate you, calling in and sharing kind of how you're feeling about the Eye of the World, man. 30 years, and you've been in it for 20. That's legit, man. That's that's nothing to shake a stick at. But yeah, I still think you're pretty old. You're an old timer, Maybe not so much Austin in 2009, but 2000 for sure. Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in.
Well, I could honestly say I have the first edition since book 10. So
nice.
I could say that. So, but the first 9 books, I know I don't have any first editions, but I know from book 10 on, that's about the time when I caught up with everyone else. Yeah, I got first editions, and I'm sure everyone else has probably first editions going back further than me. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, keep up the good work, Innkeeper. Your show rocks, man.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. No, you too. Hey, talk to you soon, and yeah, stick it around and chat. We'll keep talking. Later, man.
I'll get there. I'll be there.
Okay, bye. Hey, let's bring Glenn in. Glenn, first time calling.
Yeah,
hey, Glenn, welcome to the Dusty Wheel tonight. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for finally calling in.
Yeah, I've been meaning to. I just been holding off.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
It's been a long time since I've been reading the books.
What was your? I can't remember. When did you pick it up? I can't remember what you said in chat. When did you pick it up?
I remember I was walking past the new bookshelf at one of my public libraries, and I saw a book with some Daryl K. Sweet artwork. And I've been reading books my entire life with his art, so it caught my attention, and it was The Great Hunt. And it was on the new bookshelf, so I looked at it, and it said sequel to The Eye of the World, so I went to see if the library had that. And luckily, they had both of them, so I checked them out, and I took them with me on a family road trip from Michigan out to Minnesota.
Nice.
And I plowed through both books the entire trip there, and I was hooked. And I was waiting for every book after that.
Yeah,
And
I'll be
it
honest.
just became a part
Same
of my life.
same thing for me. I remember going to the library and I had kind of read through Feist, Weiss and Hickman, Eddings, and
Oh, I love Feist.
And oh yeah, Feist is fun. Pug, right? I gotta go back and read Pug. Gotta read all about Pug.
Jimmy the Hand was my character.
Oh really? Yeah,
I love
for
Jimmy.
sure. Yeah, of course. Yeah. There's Weiss and Hickman's Deathgate Cycle. I think is one of the best. And I had read through a lot of these.
I started that. I never finished it though.
Oh, you didn't? Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe if I went back and read it now, I would feel differently. But I don't know. When I was younger, I just loved Haplo. Such a great character. Alfred. Just I loved those two characters. I mean, obviously, a different kind of book than The Eye of the World, but
right.
Yeah, I remember seeing The Eye of the World at the library, and literally the librarian's like, "Well, I don't know what else you're gonna read, but you could try this guy." And I looked over there and I was like, "Yeah." And I'll be honest, as much as we make fun of those covers, like you said, I saw the cover and I was like, "Maybe I'll like it. Maybe I'll like this."
Some really, really interesting serendipity happened to me years later, a few years later after I started reading The Wheel of Time. I actually lived something that happened in The Wheel of Time. I actually worked in a circus.
Where did you? Seriously?
A Wheel of Time. I worked in a circus. I traveled on the road.
Nice.
In a tiny, rinky-dink piece of crap circus. It was Ray McMahon's Royal American Circus. The biggest animal we had was a miniature Shetland pony. But it was weird riding down the road, sitting in my bunk, which is the back of a straight truck, reading scenes taking place in Valen Lucas Menagerie. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is just too weird. I'm in a circus reading about my favorite characters in a circus.
That's
and
awesome.
It was just, it was crazy. It's part of why I love the character of Valen Luca, and I hope they don't cut him. As a matter of fact, I know exactly who needs to play him. It has to be Bruce Campbell.
Oh my gosh!
Ever since they introduced the character,
we haven't even gotten there. But Valen Luca, come on, man. Yeah, I don't know. He's such a. It's interesting. I think there's a lot of love and hate for him as a character. I think you'd find. I don't know. To those everyone in chat right now, I'm kind of curious. Are you a Valen Luca fan or foe? I'm kind of curious.
He's a little over the top. But Bruce Campbell's a little over the top.
Right.
You know, and so I think it works, you know. And it's just ever since they introduced that character, that's who I've pictured. You know, whether he's younger or older, and they don't say an age for Valen Luca, so that's one of the casting choices that I've always been stuck on for 20 years now, whatever it's been.
So let me ask you a question, and I was going to ask the chat this, and so everyone listening can answer this question along with Glenn here. If you were to cast Brandon in the first season of the show, would you give him not a main character, but where would you want to see Brandon show up in the show if he were to show up in the TV series?
I was Grinwald's father.
I like it. Look at that. That was good. That was quick. I have zero answer right now for that. So yeah, I'm kind of curious. That's a good. Yeah, I could see that. I could see
he
him.
He might be a bit young. He might be a bit young for that. So maybe another Innkeeper along the way. You know, he does have the build for an Innkeeper you can trust.
Yeah.
No offense to Brandon, if you're listening.
I like that. I like that Brandon as an Innkeeper. I think that's reasonable considering Brandon put Theoryland in the books, and he put Dragonmount and some of the other sites like Jason Denzel's Dragonmount is in the books. Linda Tagliari's 13th Depository is in the books. So, I think speaking
of websites, who started WoT Mania? Do you remember?
Yeah, Mike Mackert. I apologize, Mike.
Was he not given a nod in the books?
No, Mike. I'm trying to remember the exact story, but I think Mike decided to kind of move away from, WoT Mania. He had other things going on in life, which I totally
Yeah, because
respect
I
and
remember when
understand.
that shut down.
Yeah, and well, he and
I
it became
was
Read and Find Out eventually, right?
Yeah, that's where I went after WoT Mania shut down. But I don't remember. It's been so long. I don't remember what all happened. I just remember being real upset when WoT Mania shut down because that was where I did all my theorizing.
Yeah. WoT
When I
Mania was
started, because I started back. I started on the news group, way back when news groups were the thing. I was Bale Dolman back down there, back
awesome.
when Dragon Reborn first came out.
Nice.
When I was Rec Arts written SF Robert Jordan.
Oh, I want to. I gotta talk. I gotta talk Rec Arts here shortly. Yeah, I think we should do a little recap on that. Yeah, that's interesting. You were on Rec Arts. Oh my gosh, that's.
Yeah, way back in the day, back when Book 3 came out, a friend of mine let me use his have an account on his Prodigy account.
Nice.
Back when Prodigy was how you got online, and that was the first time I ever got on the internet. Was back with that.
That's crazy.
And so I went under the name of Bale Dolman because at the time that was like my favorite character.
Nice.
And so that was my first internet experience, was talking Wheel of Time there. And then a few years later, WoT Mania opened up.
By the way, I love the Elsie Grimo's father is a great pick on that. By the way, Glenn, I want to thank you very much for calling in. And I appreciate you showing up on WoT Wednesdays and being part of the chat and taking part here. And maybe we'll do this casual kind of chat every once in a while. And I just love hearing fans talking about everyone's stories. This is great. Hey, thank you so much for calling.
Well, I hope you're calling more often now.
Hey, I appreciate it.
No problem. I'll be calling in more often.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Have a good night.
All right, you have a good night, man.
You too. Bye bye.
See you in the chat. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, quickly before, this is to Billy. If you're listening, I will grab your call really quick. Sorry, it's taken a little bit to get to you. But to Rec Arts, I've got to tell this quick story. I think Jason and I and some of the other websites that kind of came to be at the same time, we all looked at, we all went and saw Rec Arts, the group, and tried to join. And I remember feeling like just, like any group, they kind of had their group. And I was like, man, I can't get into this group. I'm not part of the group. And I remember kind of going like, I'll create my own. And a lot of us created websites kind of with that feeling. And then I after running Theoryland, I'm like, I'm sure there were tons of people that came in and were like, yeah, Theoryland doesn't let me into their group. I'm going to go start something else or do something else. It just happens naturally, I think, for any kind of group that you create. It's just this feeling that whether or not somebody actually, I can't remember what it was about Rec Arts. I don't know, maybe it was just like maybe I was just so new to the internet and somebody said something and I was like, I don't like these people, or they're not inviting me in. But yeah, it's Rec Arts, I want to say, kind of engendered the feeling of like, hey, I'm going to start my own website, and it led to all this. So thanks, Rec Arts, whatever experience I had. I wish I had written it down, but I have no idea why I didn't go there. Hey, let me bring Billy, first time caller, into the show, and then Nick's online. Let me get Billy in first. Hey, Billy, welcome to the Destiny, man. How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing very good. How are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it. So, what's on your mind?
Okay. I've read the whole series. Let me doing this on my phone, so I can only do like two things. I love the show. You guys are like fantastic, and I've followed Ableist. I've followed the other dude from Columbus, and you guys are great.
Yeah, Ableist, man, those guys. I don't know how they put out so much content. It's such great content. Daniel Green, Ableist, dang, they're amazing.
I thought I knew this. I got a buddy that he was actually the one that got me into the Either World. And nice. I read it, and then I read the next one, and the next one, and the next one. And he only got through like 4 books, and I just got him to finish the whole thing. So I'm talking to him and like, oh, I can't give you spoiler alerts. I can't give you spoiler alerts. He just finished Memory of Light.
Nice.
And now we can talk about the whole thing. And I'm like, oh, you got to they're doing this. They're doing the show. You got to do this. So hopefully he's hopefully he's watching.
Awesome.
But,
When did you begin reading the books? When did you first get into the Eye of the World? Do you remember what year it was?
Let's see. It's 2020 now. It probably started 6 years ago.
6 years, man.
My wife.
That's awesome.
My wife would be so pissed. I'd come home from work, and I'd have to do laundry or clean the dishes or something, and I'm like, nope, got to read this book. Got to read it. I spent a whole weekend that's all I would do. And
I'm sure everyone listening sympathizes, and every one of them that has a significant other sympathizes with your wife. Because for me,
okay. Don't go that far. Don't go that far, because everyone and their brother might be simple. Okay. No. Okay.
So tell me, which is your?
I called in. Okay. So Rand's got, and I'm sorry, when I was on hold, I couldn't hear what you guys were talking about, so I have no idea what's going on right now.
No worries.
But when Rand is trying to get Morianne to heal Tam in the Eye of the World, and Lan sees that he has a double heron-marked sword.
Sure.
I mean, my buddy is like, that's like Excalibur. It's a named sword. It's Lan recognizes it. And I'm like, I never realized that. And it probably is.
Well, yeah. Well, you're asking if it's actually like the First Age's Excalibur? Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, I'm not saying Excalibur, but it's Lan recognizes the sword, and it comes, spoiler alert, much later, where Lan's like talking to Tam and saying, I always wanted to know if you deserve that sword, and you do.
Right. Yeah, and it definitely is it's a power wrought sword. It definitely is special in that way. And it definitely, I think Tam's story is the most interesting thing that comes with that sword, and that's the story that I would have loved to have gotten from Jordan. That's the piece of information, and I would have loved to have known more.
Yeah.
As Todd said in chat, the outrigger from Tam, that. It's so, this kind of anniversary just reminds us, of the loss of Mr. Jordan. And so the idea that we could have had, that outrigger is just it lets us, I guess it leaves us kind of talking about it at least. And we can do that. He's given us enough information to talk about it, but yeah.
And it's even more than that. I'm going to say, when Jordan passed away, it's like, it hurts because they can do. There's so much unsaid, undone.
Yeah,
so much stuff that could be done more.
Yeah, but and what's great is though that we should appreciate. I mean, what's nice is that we do have so much that he left, and it was great that Harriet picked someone to finish the story, and that we got that, and now we have the TV series coming out. So, I mean, at the end of the day, like I'm grateful for in the end what we do have. But yeah. I remember just hoping that wouldn't happen, but it was very kind of selfish from a fan perspective. I was like, I want my story, and here's a human being that I just remember being young and kind of like, I hope this doesn't happen because then I can't have the end of my story, which I think is pretty selfish, way of thinking about how, as I did, and to think of the loss of him to his family and that, but yeah, certainly every day I'm kind of like, we have so much because of him, and as from a fandom perspective, we, I don't know, it's just all these groups that have come together is pretty amazing.
And you're absolutely right. There is like when I get to work and something goes bad or something's not working out the right way, someone will like be all, like, oh, why did this happen? Blah, 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 blah. And I'll be like, well, the wheel wheels.
The wheel wheels.
Yeah, and they look at me.
Yeah, that's good.
And they're like, what? And they're like,
no,
and I just walk away, and like the next day, the wheel wheel.
It's an excellent attitude to have, for sure.
And it's awesome.
Hey, by the way, Billy, I just want to thank you very much for being a first-time caller and for calling in and for bringing up Tam's sword. What a great comment there. And I appreciate you sharing the books with your friends and telling them about the show. And I hope that you'll keep coming back and being a listener. And I really appreciate that, man.
I got you notified. I got the alerts and everything. And you guys are great. And
You're awesome.
The TV show starts.
Yeah, man, I can't wait.
I hope it doesn't.
I can't wait.
Hope it's not bad.
I can't wait, man. I can't wait. And, yeah, we'll keep talking about that. Jump into chat, and we'll keep talking about the show and what we're excited for. Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in. Okay, and do please call back again next week. Okay.
I
thanks,
will.
Billy.
Let me go.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Yep.
Hey, thanks you guys again for all calling in. It's pretty awesome. Trying to listen and chat and still kind of follow up with everybody's going on in chat itself. And Nick's been a trooper waiting out here for us. So let me bring Nick in. Hey, Nick. How you doing, man?
Hey, pretty good. And you, Matt?
Good. Hey, have you checked out that picture that Rafe put up on Twitter today? That was pretty awesome.
No.
You haven't seen it yet?
What is it?
Oh, man. That's
I haven't seen it.
No, it's this awesome picture from the set. I guess maybe it's a second official set photo, although I kind of feel like Brandon's was pretty official, right? That he gave us, and maybe it's the third official.
Yeah, Brandon's pretty official.
But yeah, it's a picture, and it's Rand up on, I don't know if that's like I'm trying to imagine if that's a hill next to a mountain right there. And we just threw it up on the screen. Yeah, it's a cool shot. It's funny because if you look at that picture that Rafe put up there, it's kind of meta, right? Here's like Rand in the first age playing Rand in the third age, before we ever get.
Yeah, that's pretty
Rand
cool. That could be
Dragonmount. Yeah, right. It could be Dragonmount, right? Yeah, for sure. Right.
Except it's too early.
Yeah, it's not clear exactly where that is. It could be Dragonmount. It could be a lot of things. Yeah,
you know what would be really, really cool?
What's that?
I just thought of this. What if they do the prologue and Rand plays Louis Theron? Like the actor that plays Rand also plays Louis Theron for the prologue?
Yeah. Actor that plays Rand plays... Well, he wouldn't be... I don't know. I guess they'd have to do some... they're not the same people in kind of a physical sense. So I don't know if that would really work.
They're close enough.
That would help. I guess that would help maybe the viewers that aren't familiar with the books and wouldn't really care to kind of understand Rebirth a little bit in this series. But I don't know. Everybody in chat, I'm kind of curious. It would help later when... Well, yeah, maybe that's a good question.
It would help later when Lanfear.
Would you want to see them kind of make Josh into an older version of Josh? Josh Rand lose? I don't know. Yeah, maybe they'll save some money and try to go that route. I don't know. Yeah, it all depends if we get lose.
I would take Henry Cavill too.
Hey man, when did you start reading the books? I can't remember what I saw in chat.
I was working in a bookstore, and like everybody we took books in trade, and so there were so many copies of the Wheel of Time books that came through. And then we always would get phone calls. Do you have the Wheel of Time books? Yes, we have dozens of them. Okay, grab one, put it aside. And it was like week after week after week. And finally, I'm like, you know what? I was looking for something to read. And I said, let me grab the first one. And I read it. And then I came back and I bought all the ones that the store had, which was all of them up until I think it was like book 11.
Wow.
Nights of Dreams or something like that.
I can't imagine. See, I can't imagine reading the books that serially. It's just so foreign to me, right? Because each time, ever since like The Great Hunt came out, there's always been this like break of time between it, and it would just be really interesting to have access to all of them the first time through. Like, I bet you didn't. Did you experience the slog that everyone complains about, or did you not? when it kind of hits that
I mean,
8,
okay.
9, 10.
So I had somebody that was telling me stuff when they learned that I was reading it, and they're like, "Oh yeah, there's some stuff that we'll talk about it once you read it." So I read the end of book 9, and I'm like, "This is awesome." They cleansed the source, they did all that. I'm like, "This is one of my favorite chapters ever." And then the guy that knew I was reading the series, he's like, "Yeah, but he's like, you're gonna want to skip book 10." And I'm like, "Why would I want to skip book 10? Book 9, the end of book 9 was awesome. It was such a huge payoff after like all this stuff." And he's like, "No, you're gonna want to skip book 10." So I read book 10, of course, because I have to for completeness. And it's like it's exactly as he described it. To everybody reacting to the end of book 9. That's like half the book. Is like, the squirrels noticed the source was cleansed. And
right.
it's like, oh my God, it was such a slog. It was easily the worst book in the series. And I know Jordan apologized. I didn't know that until afterwards for how bad the book was. And then Knife of Dreams is the best book in the series. Yeah. And I'm like, what the hell?
Well, I mean, hold on.
And like,
did you just say the best book in the series?
How do you go from high?
Wait. We have to step back. Did you just say Knife of Dreams was the best book in the series? No way.
It is the best book in the series, objectively and subjectively in whatever measure you want to.
Okay, yeah. This to chat. How many of you are on Team Innkeeper for Knife of Dreams not being the best book in the series, and how many of you are on Team Nick for Knife of Dreams being the best book in the series? I feel like Team Innkeeper is going to win here, but we can wait and see.
Yeah,
I don't know, man. That's Knife of Dreams. No, I'm not saying it's a bad book.
You don't like Knife of Dreams?
No, it's not that I think it's a bad book. It's the best book is clearly The Great Hunt, The Shadow Rising, Lord of Chaos, or Towers of Midnight. It's one of those 4.
Wait, come on, no. You got to pick one book. You can't.
That's fine.
Can't.
That's fine. You're right. You're right. You're right. I shouldn't have hedged there. The Great Hunt is the best book. Shadow Rising is amazing. Way. Shadow Rising is amazing just because it takes the promise of The Great Hunt and it builds upon it. So don't get me wrong, Shadow Rising is amazing. But Shadow Rising,
Do you know why Knife of Dreams is the best book though?
Why?
Because it's Gwen's story. It's her culmination of her story arc. It's the culmination of the thing that she foresaw, and that Elida foresaw, which is the attack on the tower. And it is absolutely like it ushers in the fact that, hey, the world has been turned over to the young people and they are going to decide it. It's not just a dragon anymore with like a bunch of elder people around him. It's Egwene is the mother now, and the Armoran Seat, and like her and him are going to decide the fate of the world. And it's 2 people from this dusty little village that know each other, and the whole fate of the world rests on their shoulders.
I will grant it. It's a good book. It's a good book for sure, and those are all good reasons. By the way, I can't remember if it was Beth that called me out or Dana. Is it Amerlin? Is that better? Am I pronouncing that better? I need to find out because I'm willing to make it.
Right? I said it right.
Amerlin. Wow, I just ate that word. Wow.
It's not what?
I used to say Amarillin, and when I say used to, I mean like yesterday. But it's Amerlin, right? Is that don't try to make me say don't try to make me say it.
No, John asked if Gwen is the mother. The mother is what they call the Amerlin.
Yeah, I don't know why. Growing up, just reading the books, I always said Amarillin. Yeah, but Dana, am I doing a better job? That's what I want to know from Dana in chat. If I'm doing a better job. Yes, I got a thumbs up. Awesome.
So why is the Great Hunt your favorite book?
Look,
why is it the best book?
By the way, I'm waiting for like Todd and Mary and Tal to answer this for you in chat because it's clear. So the Great Hunt is the introduction of Lanfear, and we all know that we only have this story that we have now because of Dear Lanfear. This is the culmination of the Lanfear plot of the Second Age. Is it comes to fruition in the Third Age. So that is why. So Lanfear coming in, and then you have Mirror Worlds and Portal Stones get introduced. So you have Mirror Worlds and Portal Stones, Tel'aran'rhiod, and you have Lanfear, and then you have Fane becoming more and more death-like. you just have this just an amazing explosion of what makes Robert Jordan's world much more unique than kind of. I'm not saying the Eye of the World was like generic fantasy, but he definitely was playing on some of the, he only revealed
Lord of the Rings,
kind of some of the pieces that he was planning on playing with, if you will. And so he definitely started off with a well-known, right? As he talked about, the well-known kind of start to the books was more Lord of the Rings like, and there are some elements that are very Lord of the Rings ish. But definitely, I think because the Great Hunt kind of reveals itself as, it starts off with the Dark Friend Social. That completely changes the entire, makeup of the series. Like the Eye of the World, just kind of like they're running off to this place and he fights this dude and whatever. It's over.
I love the Dark Friend Social because it's like I hope when they do it on we may see it in season 1. We probably will. I hope they have like there's somebody there like serving like tea and biscuits and there's like a buffet line. I hope they go all out with the imagery in the book. I would love it because that's always like the image. I know that's not exactly how it's described. It's more fearful than that, but that's always the image I got of like the dark, the Dark Friends gathering, the Dark Friends book club.
Yeah, the Dark Friends book club. I like it. Hey, Nick, by the way, dude, thanks again.
Yeah.
You and Lancer very much for your support on the channel. You guys have been awesome calling in and sharing your opinion about the books and reacting to our panelists when I'm right and Todd and Tal and Mary are wrong. I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the support. Other than this whole Knife of Dreams being the best book, I really appreciate your opinions. And,
wait, when have you, I want to ask, when have you ever been right?
When have I ever been right? That's brutal. That's brutal. Off with you, man.
No, it's brutal.
Okay.
No, but
hey, have a
what a way to end a call.
Yeah, exactly. Have a good night, man. I really, as always, appreciate it, and I'm sure we will talk again soon. Hey.
Yeah, I'll talk to you next week.
Yeah. Talk to you next week.
Bye.
Ouch, Mary, in chat. That's tall, dark, and stalkery. Do I need to bring my wife in here? She will prove that wrong. It's more like short, dark, and sleepy. Wait, that sounds weird. I don't know. That didn't go a place I wanted it to go. That sounds strange. So yeah, let me. Oh, thanks, Terry. Oh, I just said her name. Terry. Terry's her name. I said her name, and I was like, maybe she didn't want me to name her, but yeah, Terry, my wife. Oh, there she is. A funny story before I bring Andrew into the call here. I think it was one of our previous callers was talking about his wife, or I think it was his wife, who just couldn't get over the fact that he was just always reading. Well, Terry didn't know that I read books. I don't know. We started dating in high school, so that wasn't something. I didn't lead with that. I wasn't like, I'm a huge fantasy fiction fan. Do you want to date me? That wasn't my selling point. And it wasn't until we were married, and then she woke up one night and I was gone, and I was like laying in the hallway at 3:00 in the morning reading a Wheel of Time book because I'm a kind person and didn't want to wake her. And you know how those books get. All of a sudden you're only going to read them for an hour and then you're reading for 3. So, and I think her comment, which I'll always remember, is like, "What are you doing?" Which I thought was obvious. I was reading a book. And so I said the obvious thing, which is, "I'm reading." And she said, "I can see that, but what are you doing?" It will always stick with me. She's the best. I agree, Todd. So let's bring Andrew into the call here. Hey, Andrew. Welcome to the Dusty Wheel. How you doing?
Hey. Pretty good. Let me put my computer on mute.
Yeah, no problem. I appreciate it.
The question I'd ask you is if you could be from any city in Randland, whether it's the main continent or even Sanshan continent, what city would you be and why?
Does it have to be Third Age?
Well, yeah. I mean, it'd be better with Third Age, but it's kind of cheating to say Age of Legends because that's so different.
Yeah. It's like First Age, the city I'm from. No, that's stupid. So Third Age, great question. Where would I want to be from? Yikes! Okay. So let me
answer it.
no
So
no
give me
let
a
me
chance to think.
yeah, let me think about it. So where would you want to be from? And I will think about my answer.
I would say farm because it's not part of any really nation, and you don't have if you were in Todd Island, you have too much influence on the White Tower if you're not a Aes Sedai, or if you were in the what's the one where Cat Twain was from originally. Can't think of it for that city state. I wouldn't want to be in that one either.
Not
formatting. I wouldn't want to be in that one. So I would be. That's why I would. Being with farm would be cool because it's not a huge city, but it's not a small town either.
That's a great question. I'm trying to think of where. And it's funny right now as I'm going through this kind of whole process of like, what would fit me as a person right now, which is really tough. What fits you as growing up where we have grown up. Part of me wanted to say in the Aiel Waste, but then I was like, wait, that's extremely hot and annoying. I don't know that I want to be there.
Or you could be from Ilion and get a cool accent.
Exactly. What's funny is that Shanshan, the accent there is supposed to be like a Texas drawl, so which will be interesting to see if they. I wonder what if they're gonna play with accents in the show and actually try to mimic anything that Jordan kind of said, or if they're just gonna kind of pick their own or not even worry about it. But yeah, Texas drawl. Can you imagine? It's like it totally changes like the idea of them kind of like parking themselves in Falme and when they meet like Rand, it's just whenever I try to hear it in that drawl accent and the interactions between Rand and the Shanshan is just really funny in my head. Yeah, I think my initial inclination was Aiel Waste. I feel like it's cliche for me to just say, I want to be from the Two Rivers. That feels like too on the nose.
Could you live Borderlands? Could you see yourself as a Borderlands?
Yeah, I could. I feel like when I watch the Vikings, I feel the dirge from the Viking show, and I'm like, yeah, I think I could have been a Viking. So yeah, in my head, not that the Borderlands are Vikings, but yeah, I could. Yeah, I would say of everything in my head right now, the Borderlands probably makes the most sense of where I would. But I don't know. This is such a great question. I'm kind of curious what everybody in chat would pick. I've never ever been asked that question. So now let me ask you a question you've probably never been asked. But although I did bring it up in a previous caller, who would you cast Brandon as in the show if Brandon was going to do something? I
saw that question, and the first thing that came, I like the gentleman who said the guy for the one who gave him the ride, but I said instantly a patron and Basil Gill's in.
Yeah. So they definitely could do that.
Not
right?
necessarily. And just like a kind of not even a line or something, just
And I feel like this is going to be. Sorry, go ahead.
I also was going to say if it wasn't already cast, I could have said that the Hightower. That would have been a good one too.
Yeah, that would have been good. I was thinking of I just lost my thought there. Brandon. What's interesting is the Dusty Wheel. Brandon put the Dusty Wheel in Camelin. That's where he set us up, and I think Jason Denzel. I think Dragon Mounts in. I'm trying to remember what it's called. I can't remember what it's called at this moment, but it's also in Camelin. But yeah, it feels like I guess part of me hopes like
that was the end where they told Perrin that Moraine was still alive.
Where I think you're right there. I love the scene that Brandon does of the Dusty Wheel. I love it obviously because of the Dusty Wheel, but because Matt's there, and so it's in Towers of Midnight, like Into the Void chapter. And that's right before. And by the way, this is spoilers to anyone that's listening now. Don't get mad at me about this, but Matt leaves the inn right there, and he goes and pretty much kills the Golem in that moment. And so yeah, I love that. That's where he leaves from after he, pretty much winks at my wife.
Let's see if the Dusty Wheel's in the companion.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, what does it say in the companion?
It says an inn in Camlin where the windows were always dirty. Hatch was the innkeeper. It was also known as the rumor wheel because it was the best place to listen to gossip and Matt. Most of the rumors were untrue, but its patrons enjoyed discussing them.
Yeah. See, that is Brandon's ultimate description of Theoryland and all the Theorylanders, because when he first met us all, we did our best to trick him into giving us answers that he didn't intend to give us. And it's really funny to go back and read some of the interviews with Brandon around this time, because every time someone asks him a question that doesn't seem obvious to him, he asks them, "Are you from Theoryland?" And it's really funny. He's like, "Are you from Theoryland?" And it's funny because, I'll be honest, 80% of the time the person asking that question was probably from Theoryland. Every once in a while the person wasn't, but in most cases he was right. But he was always he was always worried.
Over time he's learned how to answer those questions where people are always looking to get more stuff on any Cosmere questions. He's always really careful about what he answers and not. I think he's learned over the years.
Funny story. So you'll like this, and I think everybody else will. Funny story. When I felt bad about this, one of the first times, so not the first time I met Brandon, I think this might have been the second JordanCon that I met him at. The first one, I totally bothered him about Asmodean. That's the first thing I said to him, was I shook his hand and I said, "Who killed Asmodean?" I sat down in front of him at a restaurant. It was really funny. And then and then I pestered him that entire time about Asmodean, which has other funny stories that come later. But one of the second times I met him, I think I told him, I was like, "You need to shut up more often." I don't know why. At the time, I thought that was this is many, many years ago. And I felt bad, wow, I don't know that you should, I probably should have phrased the question differently. Maybe you should have shut up more often. It's probably not, that's not good. But yeah, he was answering lots of questions, and he's gotten so much better. He's gotten so much better at holding things, keeping things to his chest, keeping his cards to his chest, if you will, right? He, like you said, he's gotten a lot better at, as the Cosmere questions come in, he's gotten much better at kind of parsing out which ones he's going to do raffos on and such. But there was a time where I'm like,
a lot of those are like really nuanced questions that they want to see if they can push the envelope. A lot of the times in the game as to whether they can get him to say something or not, or they know he's not going to.
Yeah. I remember telling him I did the beta read for the Wheel of Time, and then I did the beta read for some of his Stormlight Archive books. And I remember telling him that I read The Way of Kings, and I said, "Look, dude, I don't have time to I don't have time in my life. Like all I hear in my head the entire time I read those books is like, what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean?" And I want to ask the 7,000 questions, and I just don't have time. Everyone that has moved forward with Brandon's books and have gotten into the Cosmere, I'm like, more power to everyone that's done that. You guys are amazing. I just I did that with the Wheel of Time, and then I had to stop. So it's like I have too much Wheel of Time in my head. I can't afford another huge fantasy series. So hey, but before I let you go, let me ask you a question. What is your biggest nightmare for the WoT on Prime TV show? What's your biggest fear?
I don't know. I have to think about that. I guess one of two things would be: one, I have a couple. I guess one is that it starts to get going well, and then it just doesn't fit. The series doesn't finish because it's so it's so long. The network gets tired of it, or Amazon gets tired of it, and it finishes in the middle. What was a really good series, so we don't get to see the payoff. The other thing would be, I guess, that it takes itself more serious, but it really turns out to be really cheesy kind of thing. Where some of the shows that are bad, like a cheesy kind of thing with Xena, but it didn't take itself seriously. Whereas good shows that I think took themselves seriously, like the new Battlestar Galactica, so I guess that one, if it tried to take itself seriously and it really wasn't good.
That is a great comment, and I'm going to bring this to the chat. I want to ask everybody about this, but I'm going to leave you with that, which is the too cheesy factor is is a huge concern for me on the writing side, and so I'm really hopeful they don't go down that route. By the way, Andrew, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say but that's only an issue if they don't realize they're cheesy. I mean, I don't think that's the arc of the story is not to be really cheesy anyway. So I don't think you're gonna, if it's bad, then it might be cheesy. But I don't think they're gonna do it. Oh, we're gonna make this kind of an offbeat kind of, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm hopeful.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, you're right. I don't think they're gonna go there, but yeah, that is one of my kind of nightmares. Is like just really, really bad writing. Yeah. So. Hey, man, I appreciate you calling in. I hope you continue kind of following along and showing up at the shows. This is a lot of fun for me, and hopefully everyone's enjoying this. I don't know. It's just this is a good relaxation thing for me. Work. So, hey, have a good night, okay? Bye-bye.
Yep, bye.
So, yeah, that's so I want to throw this out there to everybody before I bring in our next caller, The Witcher. So, this goes to that cheesy aspect. I don't know, like I watched The Witcher and it just felt, I don't know if it's the writing. Maybe my next guest will be able to either correct me or support me here. But I don't know if it's the writing or how they approach the storytelling. I don't know what it is exactly. I haven't nailed it down. But I can't get over it. I feel like The Witcher is kind of cheesy, kind of bad writing. That's where I'm at right now. Let's bring in, what do you guys think if you've seen The Witcher? Kind of curious. Let's bring in Craig. Craig's on the phone. Craig, how you doing tonight, man?
Not bad. How are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yeah, happy to. Glad I finally caught the live version today.
Yeah, and today's totally casual, just chatting with the chat. No huge panelists.
Dude chat.
Just dude chat. That's right. So I don't know if you heard my last comment, but did you see The Witcher? Have you watched it?
I did. I binged the whole thing first weekend. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So I'm going to make some statements. I would like you to react against them. Not necessarily against them, but react.
This is my specialty.
Yeah, okay. So my ultimate, at the very end, I was like, I don't need to see season 2. I mean, I might give it a try, just hoping it gets better. But I thought it was like subpar fantasy with really cheesy dialogue that did a bad job in making you feel like you were in the world with lots of kind of cut scenes that just felt kind of poorly pieced together. And in the end, like, while there were some good characters, I was just like, meh. So go.
Yeah. Okay. I know exactly what you mean, and I kind of wrestled with this as I was watching the show. I wasn't sure how to feel about it exactly. Because I was compelled to keep watching, but I was like, this isn't good when we compare it to Game of Thrones, right? This isn't a good show. But the more I thought about it, the more I kind of think that it was doing something completely different. They knew they couldn't remake Game of Thrones, right?
Sure.
And
okay.
So they're like,
yeah.
We're not even going to try it. And so what they did was, I think, kind of similar to what The Mandalorian did, where The Mandalorian was just unapologetic in its reaching back to Western tropes and Western imagery, the music, the shots that they used. Everything was about like, it's a Western in space, right? And then with The Witcher, they just said, you know what, screw it. We're going classic swords and sorcery, because that's essentially what the source material is. So it's not about we need to make something ultra serious for 2020 and bring fantasy into the new millennium or whatever. It was just like, no, we're gonna Conan the Barbarian this, and
okay, but I'm gonna say
people who really like it are gonna like it, and people who aren't quite into that sort of thing are gonna be turned off. But that's okay, because they're going for a micro niche.
Okay, so I'm gonna say the following phrase, and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. Legend of the Seeker.
I never saw it.
Gosh. Okay. Yeah. So I feel like now that you've watched The Witcher, if you ever went back and watched Legend of the Seeker, it would feel, and maybe that's what, okay, I will admit this. I think I watched all the seasons of that stupid show. I don't know. Like, so I'm not saying I'm not going to watch The Witcher. Like, in the end of the day, I will probably watch season 2, but I found myself kind of skipping through some pieces, and maybe and maybe that's not a bad thing. Like you said, it definitely the way you've proposed this changes it from like this is horrible to this is, like you said, a niche show. Like it fills that kind of that group of shows in a type, and it's okay that it's there, and maybe it wants to be the best version of that, and it is a good version of one of those. So it's just, and maybe I was always reacting as I watched to the idea that I hoped this wasn't what Rafe was preparing for us with the Eye of the World, and it can't be, because it's a different. And what I mean by it can't be, it's just, as far as I understand, I haven't read The Witcher or whatever stories are related to it, but the way the Eye of the World works, it's just more serial, right? It doesn't have these large jumps and such, and it's not just a Conan the Barbarian kind of story. It is more akin to a Lord of the Rings story. So, but I think we will get judged by that. So, I guess maybe I probably just couldn't ever have watched The Witcher without tying it to the upcoming Amazon series, and I probably was a bit judgmental against it. But
I mean, so we have a tendency as viewers to punish films or shows for the sins of their predecessors. So the classic example in the last few years has been that Solo was, okay, maybe not a great movie, but it was fine, whatever. But it was punished at the box office compared to other Star Wars movies because everybody hated The Last Jedi. Well, not everybody, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Smart
I
people.
think maybe there's something in reverse going on, where you want to grade the Wheel of Time show on a curve, and so it's like you are maybe somewhere in the back of your mind there's some deeply seated psychological thing that is making you hate The Witcher, so that when Wheel of Time comes, you're like, well, it may not be Game of Thrones, but hey, at least it's not The Witcher, right?
That's probably exactly. I think you pegged me. Do you charge for your services?
I'm delving deep into your psyche.
Yeah. Is there a couch over there that I could come? We can do a whole podcast about delving into my psyche.
We do. Yeah, we do. We still need to get you over here for our show, and we'll have you lay down on the couch to do it. So.
Yeah. By the way, I mean, I'm sure everyone that's listening knows this, but Craig, this is the Legendarium podcast. He's amazing. They do amazing stuff. And I really appreciate you calling in. Yeah, no, I definitely need to get up there. If this is the kind of analysis that you're going to do on my psyche, then I think we need to do this.
Well, the first one was free.
Exactly. When did you remind me? Because I think you, remind our viewers when you started reading The Wheel of Time.
Oh, I read The Wheel of Time I started in 2011, actually.
2011, okay.
So it was fairly recent. I was a bike commuter up in Seattle, and I needed something that would eat up a lot of time. And I remembered that my annoying cousins had always talked about this book series that they loved, and it was like 1 million books long. So I got the audiobooks
Nice.
for my commute, and I fell in love. I absolutely adored it.
So you're an audiobook guy, right? Okay, so...
Well, that's how I started.
What I mean by that, and that wasn't to, that wasn't to diminish your experience. It was to say, so you probably have a good grasp on pronunciation, and I
have a good grasp on their version of pronunciation.
Okay, yes, their version, right? Because I think you heard. I don't know if you saw earlier in the show, like there are just names in these books for the Wheel of Time that I say incorrectly, and for example. I like today I learned Amerlin. I never would have said it that way. I would have always said Amarillin.
What did you say before?
Amarillin. Amarillin is just how my brain, like when I read the books, it was like the Amarillin. The Amarillin seat, In
the audiobooks, even in those, they can't ever, with a few of the names, they can never land on an actual, solid pronunciation for the duration of the series. And so it's like, is it Mogideon or is it Mogadine? She can never quite decide, or what's the name of the Forsaken that Rand studies with in the Waste?
In the Waste, Asmodean.
Yeah, is it Asmodean or is it Asmodean?
I want to say
there's always.
Oh yeah, and then there's Asmodean, as Asmodean or
Right.
Asmode. Yeah. Anyways, yes, there's like
Asmodean.
Asmodean.
Yeah.
Asmodean. Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, I don't put too much stock in pronunciation. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's just funny because the stuff that I think to myself, like, yeah, I can totally learn this. I have ones that I just can't. There's like I used to call them Mesima, and I think it's properly pronounced like Masima. I don't know. It's one of those that just makes me laugh.
That's how they do it anyway.
Masima. Yeah, I don't know. It's one of the... So yeah, sorry, I kind of led in as you called. I was like, oh, you know what? I gotta get the Witcher conversation going with Craig because I have some questions. So beyond that, was there something that
absolutely.
kind
We're
of
gonna
like...
be doing a...
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say we're gonna talk about The Witcher on our weekend episode this week, so I'm sure I'll get a little bit more in depth on it. Hey, maybe we should have you out tomorrow night for that.
Yeah, right.
We'll talk about that.
I'd be game. I'd be game for that or whatever. Yeah, no. If you want somebody that's coming in like a curmudgeon, it's just like, nah, not better than the Wheel of Time.
Well, I'm almost always the curmudgeon on our shows, and so I want somebody else to take up that mantle.
Yeah, I absolutely. I'm trying to think. It's like The Witcher, and what else would I be a curmudgeon about? Oh yeah, Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3. As long as you look at, to me, Star Wars episodes 1, 2, and 3. As long as you look at those as the story of Ben Kenobi, I think they're amazing. As soon as you look at those as a story,
well,
about...
amazing is a bit of a stretch.
Okay, yeah. Okay, amazing might be a stretch, but at least what I mean by that is it's a well told story about Ben Kenobi. When it comes to telling a story about good old Anakin, I just can't. I can't even get there. I still can't get there. So yeah, if you ever need to do a show on Star Wars episodes 1 through 3, I'm happy to be the curmudgeon on that one too. So.
Hey, are you? You may have already talked about this earlier. I kind of joined in the stream a little bit late, but are you going to JordanCon this year?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll be there. We haven't determined how to get the show there. We think we're going to be, at the very least, we'll have the show somewhere at JordanCon, whether or not it's on a panel or not. It'll be. We'll do some live streaming. We actually we made our rig a little bit more mobile. We got a nice little laptop that'll run it. The streaming side of it. So we just need the camera and the laptop, and we can take the dusty wheel, anywhere. I can just go to Home Depot and buy like a wall backing for the Home Depot near JordanCon. Are you going? Are you going to JordanCon?
Oh yeah. We'll have 4 of us there.
Sweet, that's awesome. That's going to be. Do you have like a panel set up, or are you doing a Legendarium panel at JordanCon, or are you just going there to hang out?
JordanCon declined that offer, so we're just going to go hang out and have some fun with everybody else. But we are going to do a meetup. We'll do a Legendary meetup one evening while we're there, so anybody who enjoys the show can come hang out with us. We're just going to go eat dinner together and all that, so it'll be fun. Awesome.
Yeah, no, I am there, and I think I've missed one of the JordanCons. That's my gig. I love that place. For everyone that's watching, show up at JordanCon. It's amazing. Especially those of you that watch the show, or all of you. It looks like I see in chat Joe Perry. He's going to JordanCon. That's awesome. He's from the Talk Around Riyadh show, and I'd love to meet them, you, they'll be hanging out with you guys there too. So that's awesome. What time? I don't know if not. What time are you getting there? Are you staying the entire time? Kind of like Thursday through Sunday. Yeah. Okay.
Yep, we'll be there the whole time. So.
By the way, so this is
anybody else who's going, we'll be happy to meet them.
This is a thing that happens, and I get really deep and crazy on Thursday night in the lobby. We just take the Wheel of Time and we just have fun with like theories and until 3:00 in the morning. So I don't know if that's your gig, but for any of you watching, or if it's yours, meet us in the lobby and like we just start chatting about crazy stuff, like the Dark One actually being another super AI that's fighting the other AI. That's the wheel, and that actually this is just the Matrix. And I have really good, I have some really good support for that theory. By the way,
I'll leave that to you. I have no idea about that stuff.
Okay. So that takes the Wheel of Time a little bit further than you want to. I get it. Yeah, it's only a select few. It's often like 3 of us. So I can't say that's a huge gang that's hanging out until 3 o'clock in the morning doing that kind of thing. By the way, when you called in, was there a particular like topic you were bringing up, or you just wanted to chat, or because I feel like I kind of jumped in and just started in with The Witcher?
No, I just wanted to elbow my way into the conversation and, really just make this all about me, which is, something that I'm always happy to do whenever it's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that. Well, I'm glad you called in. You called in at like the perfect time, like bringing up The Witcher. I was like, wait, Craig's on. I've got to ask him about The Witcher. He's gonna have an opinion, so I really appreciate that. And yeah, let me know when you want my curmudgeon-like nature up at the show. Although if you don't talk about Star Wars or The Witcher, it's likely that I won't be so negative. So just want to throw that out there.
Well,
so.
Yeah, I'm looking for the grumpy version of you. So yeah, I'll hit you up.
I appreciate it, man. Hey, have a good evening, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon. Okay, see you. Bye.
Cheers.
So that was awesome. Thanks, Craig, for calling in, man. That was a lot of fun. Todd said something that I wanted to react to in chat, and now I'm having a hard time. But yeah, I'd love. It sounds like Joe. Is your whole crew? This is to Joe in chat. Is the whole team going to JordanCon, or just you? Kind of curious. And I didn't see everybody else as far as super Awesomosity. There we go. JordanCon's the same anniversary. So this is to Super Awesomosity. You can tell your wife that there is a group of wives that don't care about the Wheel of Time or fantasy fiction in general. Now, I'm assuming she doesn't care about fantasy fiction in general. I don't want to make that assumption too far, but you can tell her there's this whole wives club that is at JordanCon that hang out, and they have a blast, and they go around Atlanta, and they just kind of sit there and drink and chat the entire time, and they laugh and, maybe with us all and at us all a little bit. So convince her that it could be fun. All I'm saying. I think this could work. And by the way, one of the individuals that I'm talking about in the JordanCon Wives Club is definitely my wife. I will out her now that she's here. There she is, right? Shenanigans and CouchCon are always good, right? So Terry we've been married for 23 years and dated 4 before that. So we've been together about 27 years. And she's never read The Wheel of Time. And this doesn't bother her now, but it would bother her every time she get in an elevator at JordanCon. And sorry, she's saying it's not true. Okay, I'll correct myself. She's read 17 chapters of The Eye of the World. There. Is that true? Okay. So she's gotten into the elevator so many times, and people will ask her, like, so you're the wife of the guy that runs Theoryland? And she'll be like, yeah, that's me. And be like, but you've never read the books. And she's like, nope, don't care about them. And they're always like, I don't get how that worked. And we always tell people, it's because we got together when we were 17. That's just how it works. Yeah, I got it right, Andrew. All I'm saying is it was 23. Terry, you can check my math there. But I'm trying to remember what Todd asked or said. Oh yeah, Todd asked a question, which was he asked favorite. I think it was the favorite actor that's been selected so far for the TV series. So I'm kind of curious for everybody in chat. Who is your favorite? You have to pick one. No kind of saying that Edmondsfield. By the way, I'm not saying Edmondsfield. I'm saying Edmondsfield. It's just however I pronounce it. Edmondsfield 5. You can't say a group. Who's been your favorite casting choice so far? So for me, this is an answer to Todd. I would say favorite. Look, it has to be my favorite. Has to be Rosamund. I love the group. Barney. Yeah, like David said, Barney's amazing. They're all of the our favorite 5 are amazing, but Rosamund, if I had to pick one, I just can't wait to see her play Moraine. Oh man, I just look forward to that so much. Where did I just see? I'm going to totally ruin the name Hepzibeth. Oh, I guess that wasn't too bad. Hepzibeth Clare. Is there a husband's club too at JordanCon? Great question. I think that's a good question for Terry in chat. I think it's not exclusively a wives club. It's just that it has been a wives club. So I definitely think if there's a husband out there that wants to come in, whatever, any significant other, doesn't have to be married, that wants to show up, right? Austin knows this. Any significant any significant other, there we go, that wants to show up to JordanCon, there's going to be stuff to do. There's people to hang out with, plenty of people that don't read the books and don't care about the fantasy stuff, and they're awesome. So yeah, I totally think so. Yeah, see, I'm seeing a lot of Rosamund Pikes. Yeah, man, Rosamund's, I feel like she's going to make or break the show. And I feel like that means she's going to make it because she's an excellent actor. I immediately when they cast her, it was like perfect. And so hopefully this is a case of where they just give her the right dialogue and give her the freedom to kind of run with it. And, yeah, I'm really hopeful. I agree, Austin. Joshua he plays such a key role in this first book, but they all do. I mean, they all have to step up, and I'm really hopeful they do. But yeah, yes, a spousal support group. I like it. Yes, JordanCon. By the way, I was going to try to do a JordanCon show tonight and talk all about the cool stuff that JordanCon has going on. I just didn't have time to get all of those wonderful people together and get everything ready for it. And that's why we ended up here doing this kind of fun little chat with you. I just didn't have, honestly, just work took over. Didn't have time this week. So we'll try to get those wonderful folks from JordanCon in next month and tell you all about what you can expect there. It's so much fun. It's not just the Wheel of Time. Let me share one fun story from, I don't think I've ever shared this before, so from JordanCon. I want to think that I'm a writer, but I'm not. And that is to say, I don't write very much, if at all. I have lots of ideas, and I have a bunch of books that I've kind of, I guess, written the first chapter of. But I've never gone any further than that. And they have this awesome writer's track at JordanCon where they bring in like real editors, when I say real, just, professionals that are doing this, authors in a variety of genres. And they'll do panels with them. And you can go in and get advice from them. And they actually had a pitch panel. It's the most amazing thing. If you've ever wanted to get real professional advice for free in a pitch scenario, like JordanCon's an awesome place to try it out. And they gave us a minute, and my daughter and I pitched this idea. We had kind of been chatting about this idea that we wanted to write this book together. And I stood up and gave this minute-long pitch. And it was the most inspiring thing because I didn't have to write much. I was able to take the idea and get immediate feedback from them. And the feedback was really positive. Like, I think, and by the way, there was some, sorry if I'm hitting this microphone, there was some negative feedback at other pitches that I saw. So it wasn't like they were just telling everybody what they wanted to hear. And so it was really motivating. And I went home and broke the story down and wrote even more in it. And then I stopped because, life. But yeah, so if you're thinking like JordanCon is just the Wheel of Time, it's not. There's so many pieces to it now, different tracks, different. Like I said, we talk about plenty of things. I mean, Sanderson has a huge track, if you're a Sanderson fan. But if you just want to get into writing, the amazing access and critical feedback for your stuff. So, highly recommend that. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too long of a story. Let's jump into some questions that I had for everyone kind of watching here, which is, what's your favorite theory of the Wheel of Time? I'm kind of curious if any of you have a favorite theory. And this one's easy for me, but I'm kind of curious, just because, well, Theoryland, right? That's what I love about the Wheel of Time. And if you remember, we're going to do an episode here in 2 more weeks. We're going to do our first live theory discussion. It's going to be all about Padan Fane and theories revolving around him. And I'm going to try to sell you on my theory. Tamandred is your favorite theory, Glenn and Joe. Really? Okay, so I have a question for you both. You both said Tamandred. Or how do you say... That's an interesting question. I used to always just say Tame was his name, and then it's Taim. So I guess if you would say Taimandred, it's a very weird... For me, it was always like Tamandred. Okay. But anyways, to both of you, Glenn and Joe, when you say it was your favorite theory, was it your favorite until you found out that Jordan killed it? Or is it your favorite even after that because you thought, he was just kind of making things up as you went along? Was it your favorite theory that you had as you read the books the first time and then you went online and found out about it? I'm kind of curious when you say it was your favorite, if it endured as your favorite well past when you knew it was, when Jordan said he kind of killed it. Yeah, and I agree with... and to Joe's point in chat, he said he's convinced that RJ changed his mind halfway through. That does seem that does seem pretty fair to say it happened, because it does show up in his notes that Taim was Tamandred. And he changed, and that's what's interesting about canon, which is he changed canon, and he can do that. And the fun thing, though, is to get his notes and be able to see evidence of all the things that we thought we saw. So, Joe, I agree. That's Beth. Matt is one of the heroes of the horn spun out. Yeah, that was definitely one of the theories I remember coming up a lot, which was that he was kind of spun into this. And I don't know. I thought I saw some questions about whether or not any of these individuals would become heroes. I thought I saw somebody ask Brandon something like that, but it's definitely kind of that. I'm pretty sure it was a Raffo kind of question. But yeah, that was a good one. I really loved that one. Mazrim Taim was from the Age of Legends, held in a stasis box. Yeah. That definitely have heard that one. Super Awesomosity. That one. I mean, honestly, it's kind of it's legitimate enough. I don't know if they've ever. I mean, I guess I'm trying to think if anyone ever asked Jordan how long someone could, persist in a stasis box. Because I can't remember. Remind me here. Is it a 1-to-1 kind of pausing of time in essence completely, or is it just time passes extremely slow? I can't. I'd have to go look up the lore on that one. I can't remember, but yeah, I remember Mazrim Taim is from the Age of Legends, and especially that came up because as soon as Jordan started painting Mazrim Taim as not Tamandred, we all had to figure out okay, well, what makes sense, and that was definitely one of them. The Purple Aja theory, yeah. That was definitely also another favorite out there. And yeah, you can take that down. Yep. Oh, I keep on hitting the mic. Sorry, everybody listening on here. Purple Aja theory. What's interesting is I stuck, not this doesn't surprise anybody, but I definitely stuck to a lot of theories that revolved around Tel'aran'rhiod and mirror worlds and the metaphysics. And there were ones I didn't get into a lot, other than having to read them and reply to them on Theoryland. Kalendor being flawed. Yeah. That's that came up a lot, and rightfully so. That was a good one. Logain being the Tom. And what's interesting is I used to say Tamerlane, and now I have to say Tamerlane, which is gonna bug my brain. But Logain being the Tamerlane. Which, and when you say that, Scott, do you mean Logain becoming Tamerlane, or do you mean that it was like he was somehow? I'm kind of curious how you felt that was. Yeah, and to Glenn's question here, do you have a collection of posts and articles on the metaphysics of the Wheel of Time? We did a bunch of different. We did this ridiculously funny, not funny, it was a fun study on trying to connect what we called the skimming space, which is the void, and connecting, trying to, in essence, that universal kind of physics theory, we try to kind of have a universal Wheel of Time metaphysics theory, and I'll post some of those. Yeah, on Theoryland you can find it. but it might be a little bit hard to get it in there. So yeah, I'll try to post something, bring it up, send it over to you, Glenn. That one's a fun one to read through, even though it's like 20 some odd years old. Rand's Magic Pipe. That's the magic pipe theory. What is your theory? I'm kind of curious, Joe, about the pipe. Yeah, I'd like to hear which kind of side, which avenue, pathway you take from that. So, Mary, the one soul. Are you making fun of the two soul theory by pointing out that the one soul theory was awesome? Or which one soul theory? Dark One's prison in Tel'aran'rhiod. Joe, that's a good one. And the that one, the Dark One's prison being Tel'aran'rhiod, is one that has enough. You can connect a lot of things, and that's what Jordan one time. We went and asked him a bunch of questions at DragonCon 2005. We went with a stack of like 80 questions, and a bunch of us Theorylanders got in line one after the other, and we just asked him a bunch of questions. That's where we learned that the fin, the Eilfin and Aelfin, all have souls and are threads in the pattern. That was kind of an argument we had. And I asked him about, I was trying to, disconnect Tel'aran'rhiod, the place where everyone dreams themselves into, from all of the other unseen things. And this is to Joe's theory, which is, what do you call Tel'aran'rhiod? Is Tel'aran'rhiod everything? Or is it just the place that people dream themselves into? What do you call the place that Egwene saw all the points of light? We like to call that the gap of infinity. But is it technically part of Tel'aran'rhiod as this entire encompassing thing? And Jordan didn't like, I think I asked a question about this, and he was like, no, they're separate, they're different. And so we never get to follow that up with, like, what do you call this all-encompassing place? Because I do think that in some form or fashion, you could make a case for the Dark One's prison being related to in Tel'aran'rhiod. And that's why I was kind of joking before. When I say joking, I don't mean totally joking. The Dark One's prison, you could even say, is akin to the wheel and is a form of an AI that's connected to the Tel'aran'rhiod. So anyway, sorry. I went down to Tel'aran'rhiod. You can get me talking about that stuff forever. So, Glenn, good question. Where would I post that? Maybe I will throw that into the description of this video afterwards. Someone remind me. So yeah, I'm curious, Joe, the magic pipe. How do you think he's managing that? Are you going with the tar bubble kind of theory about the magic pipe? Do you think that Rand is somehow kind of this, mix of living in essence, in Tel'aran'rhiod, kind of a walking Tel'aran'rhiod bubble, or do you think that he somehow has access to another form of power? There's a lot of different kind of theories around what that signifies. I'm kind of curious. Will theory and talk help GOT be squashed? Yeah, could be a Terran too. That's legit, Mary. That's a good point. So are the wolves in Tel'aran'rhiod the prison guards? Well, I actually hadn't got down. I hadn't gone down the road of the Dark One's prison being in Tel'aran'rhiod, but I like the idea that it shares some aspects of Tel'aran'rhiod and how the Dark One created it. I like that piece of it. And honestly, the pipe being a Terran, yeah, I mean that's a fun kind of easy. That's too easy of an answer. I want something more elaborate. Those are all good. Hey, thanks everyone for sharing those. You'll find this out if you don't understand this about me right now. I hate the easy answers. I enjoy the much more elaborate ones. So, and okay, so how about this one? Question for everyone watching. What did you get right and what did you get wrong? And this isn't be a spoiler for anyone that's listening to this at the moment. It's complete spoilers because people can write anything and then I might say what they wrote here in the show. So what did you get right and what did you get wrong when it came to the end of the books? For those of you that were reading, I'm kind of curious if there was something that you kind of, at the end, you were like, yes, I knew this, or Anath was Semirhage. Nice, Mary. So, spoilers. Mary got Anath was Semirhage. Got wrong. LTT was real. That's good. Ted was wrong about Shiriam and was right about her, and then wrong about Taim. David thought Lanfear would return. Yes, yeah. I feel your pain there. Dana, I knew Rand would live. The Rand and Moradin merge. Yeah, that was a good one. I actually like how that piece of it ended. It definitely connects, or there's something to do with Nakomi there, and kind of curious what Brandon might be able to tell us there if he can here. I thought he kind of time boxed something about Nakomi. Maybe I'm wrong in that, but it'd be nice to find out about Nakomi. And maybe we'll do a show about that. Would you guys be interested in kind of just covering all the Nakomi theories ever? That could be fun. Beth, you were wrong about Moraine killing Asmodean. Nice. Glenn, you were right about that. See, I've found very few people. So what's funny about, I feel weird talking about this piece on the show about Varen because it's such a key part in the book. I don't know why. I hold this one like one of the biggest secrets in the books. And so doing a show that talks about it's kind of weird. But I was right and wrong about Varen. I'll admit that I was somewhat wrong, but I was right about everything else. And I remember jumping out of my seat with that Varen scene because I was right about everything but calling her that name that you posted there. I could not come and say she was a member of the Black Aja, but everything else where she was working with Forsaken and all these other things, those are all things that I theorized for decades, and so I was excited about that. But yes, I agree, Scott. That was the best. So, as we kind of come to the end of the show here tonight, I did want to ask a few final questions. We're thinking about, we've kind of teased out doing a podcast, and we've actually pulled down all the shows in order to kind of put them in podcast form. We've started that. Would you want a podcast just to be a straight kind of extraction of this audio, just the audio of every show we do on YouTube and just put it in a podcast form? Or would you actually want us to do some separate podcast shows? So we're kind of curious about that. If you want to tweet at us on Facebook, kind of leave us a note, or if you want to put a note here in chat, we'd love to know if it's more interest in more kind of different content, or if it's just so you can, hear the same content in kind of a podcast form instead of watching the videos. So kind of curious about that piece. And then we're also curious about what else you would like to see from us. Do you want a Discord channel, or are you already part of too many Discord, groups? We don't have to be everything for everyone. So Brianna, that seeming redundant piece, that's kind of, and Beth, separate and new content. Okay, that's good to know. Because some people have said they just don't go on YouTube, and they'd like to, instead of having to go to YouTube to get it, they'd like to get it in a podcast. But it's good to know that some of you watching here are kind of curious and interested in the separate and new content. So let me think about that, how we can do that. Porthos, do a live broadcast from JordanCon. We will definitely do a live broadcast. Whether or not it's in a sanctioned panel, that's yet to be seen, and I probably have waited too long. Yeah, I agree, Scott. I kind of was like, we can do a Discord channel, but I just don't have time to keep up on that. I know that's more of a community-based and thing that can kind of keep itself going. And maybe it would be useful during the show, have a place during the show. We just do the chat also here. So the question is, would people use it outside of that, etc. So, so it sounds interesting. Maybe some of you may be interested in kind of a podcast for some separate content. I appreciate that. That's interesting. I'll have to think about what that might look like. And I do plan on doing some pre-recorded stuff, mostly because I can tell that this long format, a lot of it's when it comes to growing kind of the fan base for the show and getting people more interested in the channel, so maybe they'll show up and kind of take on some of these longer shows. I can tell that, the more 10-minute content might be of interest to YouTubers. So we'll probably do some pre-recorded theory stuff. We'll just break down some fun metaphysics. We'll go deep dive metaphysics. I love that kind of stuff. And by the way, Joe, I've got to have you guys on the show sometime. So I'll try to communicate with you maybe over Twitter, and we'll set up a time. I'd love to have you if you guys are interested. I'd love to have you on the show and talk about it. An episode of Everything We Hate, Porthos. That would be interesting. We could do that. Oh yeah, and last thing before we kind of close up for the night. Awesome, Joe. That's good to know. I'll communicate with you, and we'll try to get something scheduled here probably for February if everyone's available. But last thing, are you interested in all? I don't want to get too much like do what everyone else is doing just for the sake of it. Do you guys want stuff like the Hardcore Fan Freak coasters, but cooler than this? This one's fun. It has the wheel on it. These are these cheap kind of chintzy ones. Are you interested in us throwing together some fun T-shirts? Doing those kind of things. Kind of curious. Throw me a note on Twitter or in chat here, on Facebook, wherever it is you find us. Let us know if you're interested in actually kind of having a fun, Dusty Wheel shirt or whatever. We're happy to throw something together. It'd be fun. It'd be fun to see those in the wild. We have a lot of Theoryland old school ones from Theoryland. Those are a lot of fun too. So, okay, so it's good to know. Some people want some T-shirts. So, yeah, if you guys know of some great places to do the T-shirts, other than just kind of the ones that everyone knows about. Apron of the Dusty Wheel Inn. I like it. Okay, cool. We'll do that. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this kind of casual chat. I probably started the show off. Maybe I should have been a little bit more specific about where this whole Dusty Wheel thing came from before now. There's so much more to that story. If you're ever interested in kind of talking about Beta reading the Wheel of Time, maybe we'll do a fun little chat about that. Maybe that'll be a fun podcast episode, where we can just chat all about kind of how it was to read those books beforehand and try our best to help Brandon out before the books went to you. That was, to say the least, that was a pressure situation. So so we'll do this again, and we'll probably not every week, obviously. So next week, sorry, let me kind of close out. Next week we're gonna do a round table. We're going to have panelists back. We're going to spin the wheel. We call it the Wheel of Game Time. And we'll just do random topics with our panelists, and that'll be a lot of fun. And the following week, we'll be back with that live theory discussion. And then after that, a live nudist discussion where we're going to have WoT Up in with us as a panelist for the news discussion right at the beginning of February. So anyway, thanks again for everyone participating. Really appreciate it. And so good night from the Dusty Wheel. And as we like to say around here, smash to black.